Mom, Dad looks really pale. Come home right away. I noticed my daughter's distant voice. I'm at karaoke right now, so don't bother me. The next day, when my wife came home around noon, she was looking for our daughter. She's not here, I said. What? I revealed the truth to my wife, who didn't seem to grasp the situation. My name is Will. I'm a 40-year-old office worker. I live happily with my wife, Maria, who is 3 years younger than me, and our daughter, Patricia, who just started elementary school this year. Until now, Patricia had been going to preschool, and my wife, Maria, was a stay-at-home mom, managing the household and childcare. When Patricia started school and things calmed down a bit, Maria told me she wanted to work part-time. Things are going to get expensive from now on, right? And since Patricia doesn't need as much attention, I think I should start working. Before Patricia was born, my wife Maria worked full-time in customer service. Thinking about the expenses for school and extracurricular activities, Maria decided to take a job at a coffee shop. After being home for so long, going back to work and talking to people outside of our family and her mom friends felt refreshing for her. On her first day at work, she happily shared stories about her job. How many years had it been since I'd seen Maria so excited to talk about work? I started looking forward to hearing about her job. And so, we became a dual-income household, supporting each other. When Maria worked late, I cooked dinner or took care of chores. A month after she started working, her social circle expanded. She began going out more for lunch or dinner with friends. 3 months later, after a karaoke outing with friends, Maria started going to karaoke overnight before every day off. Maria, don't you think you've been going out too much lately? I don't mind you going, but could you cut back a little? What are you talking about? Since I got pregnant with Patricia, I've held back and been a stay-at-home mom. You used to go out drinking yourself. She wasn't wrong, which is why I was making a request, not a demand. Besides, didn't you start working part-time to save for Patricia's schooling and activities? If you go out to eat and have fun every time you're off, we won't save anything. So, you're saying I should work more hours. Would that stop your complaints? Maria's response was absurd. I was too shocked to say anything. Her mind seemed completely preoccupied with having fun. I tried talking to Maria about balancing fun and money, but she just wouldn't listen. Half a year later, on another typical day, Maria went out for karaoke. That night, it seems I collapsed without realizing it. I strained to hear a voice coming from far away. Mom, Dad is pale and collapsed. Come home quickly. It was Patricia, raising her voice in panic and fear. Patricia, clutching my phone and crying, looked devastated. I felt sorry for her and made up my mind. The next day, Maria came home around noon. Oh, see, you're fine after all. I was enjoying karaoke, so don't bother me like that. You're so dramatic. Without even saying, I'm home, she looked at me and said this. She knew Patricia had been crying and that I wasn't well, yet she made such a comment. That really set me off. What did you say to Patricia? Were you not worried about me or her crying after hanging up the phone? What did you say to her to make her cry like that? I raised my voice a little as I pressed her for an answer. Nothing much. I just told her, Dad's an adult. He can handle himself. Don't bother me right now. I'm at karaoke. And since you're fine now, it's no big deal, right? I was completely furious at Maria's attitude. You don't understand why Patricia said that, do you? It's clear to me now. You're no longer a mother. What? What are you talking about? I'm working, and I use my money to have fun. I still do the housework, so I don't see why you have any right to complain. Maria was enraged by my words, fully wrapped up in herself. My feelings for her had completely turned cold. Fine, then let's get a divorce, I said. Maria's eyes widened in shock, her expression blank. She seemed clueless about what I was saying. What? What are you talking about? Getting a divorce just because I've been going out at night? That's way too extreme. Besides, you're an adult. You can handle yourself, right? And look, you're fine now. Maria was furious about being told we should divorce. I took care of parenting when you didn't, and now just because I'm stepping out a bit, this is what I get. You're such a small-minded man. How about showing some appreciation for once and letting your wife enjoy herself at night? Maria was trying to justify her behavior. She didn't realize that I knew everything. Well, if you're insisting on a divorce, then Patricia's custody is mine. Since you're leaving me, you owe me plenty of alimony, and don't forget child support too. I'm honestly amazed at how delusional she is. After everything she's done, she still thinks she's entitled to alimony and child support. If you agree to the divorce, I'll take Patricia and move back to my parents' house. Patricia, let's go to Grandma's house with Mommy. Maria assumed Patricia was home and loudly called out for her. I decided to tell her the truth. Patricia's not here. What? Where did she go? I told Maria that I had taken Patricia to stay with my parents. What? Are you holding Patricia hostage? That's despicable. I'll call the police and get her back. Maria started yelling angrily again. Don't twist my words. Patricia's the one who said she wanted to go. She's completely shut herself off from you. It seemed Maria couldn't grasp what I was saying and kept shrieking nonsense. I'm Patricia's mother. Mothers have priority in custody cases. Without a mother, a child can't grow up with love. Do you even realize what you're doing? Maria was shouting angrily, out of breath. If she was going to say all that, I wished she'd take the time to understand how Patricia truly felt. Last night, I must have fallen asleep in the living room without realizing it. Lately, work has been hectic, and I've been bringing it home. I've been exhausted and sleep-deprived, so my face probably looked pale. Seeing me like that must have scared Patricia. She's such a kind girl to call her mom for help, but her mom abandoned her daughter. What? What's that supposed to mean? So you're saying a sleeping person is suddenly sick and she lied? What kind of parenting are you doing? She's just upset that I wasn't home. What have you been doing to her? Poor Patricia, growing up without love from her dad. Shockingly, Maria thought Patricia had lied. I had been by Patricia's side, seeing how lonely she was without her mom at home. I couldn't forgive Maria's comments. What are you even saying? You're missing the point entirely. She saw her dad looking unwell and wanted her mom to help. I'm saying you prioritize going out over your family. What are you talking about? I left Patricia with you, so you should take responsibility for yourself. It's your job to manage your own health. I can't trust someone as irresponsible as you with my daughter. In fact, I'll be the one filing for divorce. A father who raises his child to lie isn't needed. I tried to keep my anger in check as I spoke, but Maria just raised her voice and insulted me. How could she be Patricia's mother for so many years and not realize how Patricia truly felt? I was furious at her for calling Patricia a liar and saying that a father was unnecessary. Do you know how Patricia feels? Waiting for you to come home every night. She wouldn't go to bed, saying she wanted to wait for mommy. She even said she wanted to sleep with you. She's in elementary school, but she's still just a kid who loves her mom. At my words, Maria fell silent. Patricia said she felt lonely because you were always going out on your days off. She wanted to go out and play with you. There were nights she cried herself to sleep because of that. Patricia, I didn't realize. Hearing my words, Maria lowered her head. For Patricia, that was probably her last hope. But you didn't come home. Patricia felt like she lost to karaoke and cried her heart out, thinking you hated her and didn't care about her anymore. Maria's face turned pale, perhaps regretting what she had done. A moment ago, she had been angrily defiant, but now she looked completely dejected. That's why I suggested divorce to Patricia. And you know what? She agreed. Do you know what she said? Mom seems happier without me. How could you make a child say something like that? When I shouted, Maria buried her head in her hands. I'm sorry. I got carried away because I finally had my own money to spend freely. I'll be a proper mom from now on. Please reconsider the divorce. Don't take Patricia away from me. Finally, Maria realized her actions had hurt Patricia and apologized. But my decision to divorce wasn't based on just this. You seem to think I'm asking for a divorce because of your nights out, but that's not the whole reason. You think I don't know, but I know everything. I pulled out a large envelope from the drawer and handed it to Maria. She looked puzzled, but took the envelope from me and opened it. Inside were photos. When she looked through them, her eyes widened in shock. No way. What I handed her was a report from a private investigator. I had been suspicious of how often Maria was away from home. Earlier, when I saw her pay stub, I noticed something strange. Maria's usual shift was 6 hours, from around noon to evening. This meant Patricia would let herself into the house with her own key. Maria worked 5 days a week, adjusting her shifts to fit my and Patricia's schedules. But her pay stub showed she was only working about 2 days a week, for roughly 4 hours each day. Seeing this, I began to suspect that she was using her part-time job as an excuse to spend time with someone else. While I was debating whether to follow her or hire a private investigator, Patricia came to me with a sad expression when Maria wasn't home. Dad, I think Mom has someone she likes. Patricia told me this with tears streaming down her face, looking heartbroken. Apparently, she had overheard Maria secretly talking to someone on the phone while she was home. Mom sounded so happy when she was on the phone. Even when I asked her to help me with my homework or eat snacks together, she just said, later. Ever since I get home, she's just on her phone, on her phone. Dad, do you think Mom doesn't care about me anymore? Seeing the pain on Patricia's face, I couldn't help but hug her tightly. Even though I had been with Patricia, I hadn't noticed how lonely she had been. As I comforted my daughter, Patricia slowly began to open up. At the start of Maria's part-time job, she didn't act any differently. She would listen to Patricia, give her advice, play with her, and spend quality time together. Patricia even told me how they secretly went out for cake together on Maria's payday. However, over time, Maria started coming home later and later. There was a period when Patricia would come home from school, only to wait outside the house for an hour because Maria wasn't home. Eventually, it became normal for Patricia to wait outside for Maria to come home. When Patricia expressed her frustration, Maria gave her a spare key so she could let herself in and wait inside the house. Even then, Maria would often just be on her phone, ignoring Patricia when she was home. Curious about what Maria was doing, Patricia peeked over her shoulder one day and saw her looking at photos. The photos were of Maria with a young man, and she seemed genuinely happy in them. Patricia told me she thought, "Mom enjoys being with this person more than me." From that point on, she began silently enduring her loneliness, sharing this with me through tears. Without my knowing, Patricia had been suppressing her feelings and coping alone. Even though she's an elementary schooler, she's still just a child. The realization that her mother's attention wasn't on her must have been unbearable. Thinking about Patricia's feelings, I couldn't help but feel heartbroken for her. After hearing her story, I decided to hire a private investigator to follow Maria while considering divorce. The investigator's updates revealed that her working hours and days matched the irregularities in her pay stub. Maria had lied to us about her part-time job and was actually spending her time playing around. The report I received later contained photos of Maria with young men, going to karaoke, dining out, and even entering hotels arm in arm. The men were people Maria had met through her job at the cafe. Some were co-workers, others were customers. Shockingly, they were all young men in their 20s. One of them was a college student who worked part-time at the cafe. Among them, Maria seemed particularly fond of one, a student at a prestigious university currently job hunting, with whom she had a romantic relationship. From the photos, it was clear they were very close. Even after her shift, they would have meals together or act like a couple while spending time in parks. I started wondering where Maria was getting the money to fund her outings. Even with the job, there was no way she could afford such frequent activities. When Maria wasn't home, I checked her bank account. To my shock, the savings account we had set up for Patricia's future education was empty. I accepted the reality of the situation and decided to divorce Maria. This sneaky spying is so unfair. It's a violation of my privacy. There's no way this evidence is valid. Maria yelled hysterically, ripping up the photos and the report she held in her hands. Tearing them up is pointless. Those are just copies. I have all the photos and data backed up, so I can print as many as I need. Besides, the private investigator and my lawyer confirmed there's no issue. You called our daughter a liar, but how about admitting that you're the real liar here? Maria's face turned red with anger as she glared at me. You did something wrong, and now you're angry about it. Do you think Patricia doesn't understand? She already knows about the man in your life. She told me herself that she saw you talking to him on the phone and looking at photos of you two together on your phone. Maria glared at me, seething with frustration. A mother who neglects her daughter for another man, that's not the kind of mother Patricia needs. In fact, Patricia already told me she doesn't want you in her life. She's in elementary school, but she's old enough to know what she wants. I'm still Patricia's mother. She needs me. Unable to accept the fact that her daughter had rejected her, Maria started screaming hysterically again. I took out my phone and called my mother at her home. I asked her to let Patricia talk to me, then switched my phone to speaker mode. Patricia, Daddy is thinking about separating from Mommy. What do you think? I think that's fine. Mom seems to like someone else more than Daddy anyway. Patricia, if Daddy and Mommy separate, who do you want to live with? I want to live with Daddy, Grandma, and Grandpa. Lately, Mom's always on her phone. She doesn't talk to me or play with me. Daddy talks to me even though he's busy with work, and he plays with me, so I don't feel lonely. I'm fine without Mom. Patricia said brightly and clearly. Hearing this, Maria collapsed to her knees, unable to hide her shock. Listening to her daughter's feelings, Maria began to cry again. Patricia, do you hate Mommy now? Maria asked in a strained voice. What, Mom? You were listening. I don't really feel anything. I guess it's just normal. Patricia, who used to cling to Maria more than me, always calling Mom, Mom, and saying, I love you, Mommy. Now, in just a few months, their relationship had fallen apart. Maria neglected her daughter and family to play around. She had brought this upon herself. Hearing Patricia's cold words, Maria was left speechless. I ended the call and turned to Maria to discuss what would happen next. I know about all the men you were involved with. I've already consulted a lawyer, so from now on, please communicate through them. Of course, I'll be seeking alimony from both you and the men you were with. We're getting divorced, and I'll demand child support for Patricia. Be prepared. Leaving Maria crying on the floor, I returned to my parents' house. When I got home, Patricia greeted me with a smile. After that, I left everything in the hands of the lawyer I hired. Maria and I finalized our divorce, and custody of Patricia was granted to me. Maria asked to hear Patricia's voice one last time, but Patricia refused. It was decided that Maria would only be allowed to meet Patricia if Patricia wanted to. I received alimony from both Maria and the men involved with her. I also met with the parents of one of the men, and they ensured that Maria would no longer have any contact with him. It turned out the man only saw Maria as a woman with money, using her as a source of financial gain and entertainment. Of course, this entire situation became gossip at Maria's part-time workplace, and now she's working as a janitor at a casino. I moved back to my parents' house and now live happily with Patricia and my parents.